Hey, welcome into the Winning Edge. It is high school football playoff time here in Indiana, and we got some damn good matchups here in the first round of sectionals. We're going to start in 1A, work our way all the way up to 6A for the local teams here, kind of where I'm located, and we are going to dive into pretty much all the matchups that are around the local side. So let's dive right into it. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll have obviously content like this all the time, every week, man. We go through stuff, especially playoff time. We will start going through it quite a bit. So let's start off with sectional 41. South Newton going up against North Judson Blue Jays. North Judson's 9-0. The Rebels of South Newton are 3-6. But North Judson, they're a good ball club. They're number one in the class. Class 1A. They're 46 in the state, according to Max Preps. And yeah, this should be an easy win, but it is playoffs in Indiana. If you are a participant in football, you most likely and are guaranteed a spot in the playoff run to the road to Lucas Oil. So it's pretty unique. Not a lot of states do this, but it's pretty sweet. One thing that always gets in the way is Indiana. They don't seed the playoffs, so sometimes you get really good on good matchups the first round of sectionals. So that can be a shocker. That could be quite annoying, especially if you're one of them teams that have to go up against one of the powerhouses right off the bat. So it is what it is, right? So North Judson will roll this game, and they will move on in sectional 41. Another game underneath that would be South Central and Culver Community. Let's take a gander at these two. Looks like two teams underwhelming performances this year. The South Central, they're 2-7. They are 53rd in the class of 1A. The Cavaliers, of Culver Community, they're 51st in the class. So it's kind of almost an even matchup across the board here. It's looking like, honestly, it looks identical. So Culver has a little bit more points for, having a little better chance moving the ball, but a worse record. So I'm going to go with Culver here. I think they're going to have a new chance during the playoffs here to move on. Excuse me. All right, another game here. Bowman Academy going up against North Newton. Bowman is 0-9. Once again, like I said earlier in the beginning here, everyone gets a chance in the playoffs, and you never know what team can go on a roll. The Bowman Academy Eagles are 0-9. The North Newton Spartans are 2-7. Excuse me again. And honestly, even the records are, 2 wins versus 0. They're still pretty similar teams here. So I'm curious to see how this one's going to work out on there. I'm going to have to go with North Newton. Obviously, they've won more ball games than Bowman Academy. Moving on here to West Central versus LaVille. Another local team here. West Central Trojans are 6-3. The LaVille Lancers are 4-5. West Central's 32nd in the class of 1A. LaVille is the 13th team in the class. So a little higher ranked than West Central, but LaVille does play a little kind of tough schedule. They play a lot of 2-3A schools in the area. And I believe they went up against North Judson in the first weeks. Tough loss there for them. But I think the LaVille Lancers will beat West Central. West Central is not an easy ball club to beat, though. They're always tough. They've been tough for a long times. Look for a good slobber knocker ball game here. The LaVille Lancers will move on, though, here in the sectional first week, which will be this Friday, November 1st, kicking off November in the right way. So let's call it that at the 1A level. So North Judson will move on, Culver Community will move on, North Newton will move on, and LaVille. So pretty much picked all the home teams in this first round of the sectionals in with the 1A sectional bracket. Let's move over here to 2A. The 2A bracket here, we got a bye week already for Rensselaer Central, in sectional 33. Let's look at the other game here. Bremen is going to go up against Lake Station. They're 2-7. The Bremen Lions are 5-4. Let's take a look. It looks like Bremen's ranked 14th in the class of 2A. Lake Station is 62nd in the class, but looks like they give up a lot of points on defense. So not something you want to do in the playoffs. at all. Bremen's kind of almost 50-50 points for, points against. So and, you gotta score a little bit more than you give up. That's how you win the games. But the record's 5-4, and I'm gonna pick Bremen to move on here in sectional 33. Okay, going down to the next game here, Whiting versus Adrian. The Fighting 59ers, not 49ers. That's easy to mess up there. But Adrian's 5-4. Whiting, sorry, not Whiting. They're 2-7. They're not having a good year. Normally they have somewhat of a decent year, I feel like. Adrian's ranked 7th in the class. Whiting is 56th in the class. Adrian will win this game. They just have a better roster all the way around. No offense to them boys up there. Let's go down to the next game here. Wheeler going to Boone Grove. The Wheeler Bearcats are 7-2. The Boone Grove Wolves are 6-3. So here we go. Right now we got some good teams above 500 having a little battle. Wheeler's ranked 19th right now in the class of 2A. Boone Grove is 44th in the class of 2A. So obviously Wheeler being a little higher ranked team here. Points for 316 for Wheeler, and only giving up 142 this season. So pretty good defense there. Boone Grove's not too far behind him at 296 points for, and only 166 against. So I'm gonna go Wheeler on the road, going into Boone Grove and taking care of business there in old Valparaiso. Alrighty, let's see. Yeah, that's about it. So sectional 33 looks like Bremen's going to move on to play Rensselaer Center in this week 2. Adrian's going to move on to play Wheeler in week 2. All right, actually. Hang on once. Yeah, all right. So I had to make sure. So the 2A bracket and I believe the 1A bracket are kicking off this Friday, the 25th. And that is true as the 3 and 4A. Once you get to 5 and 6A, they have a bye week, the first week of sectionals, so you start in semis. So I should have started off with that. I do apologize. Let's move on to the 3A bracket, October 25th. We're going to do sectional 25 here in the top left corner. Glenn going to Jimtown over here in good old Elkhart, Indiana. The Glenn Falcons are 1-7, not having a good year whatsoever. They're trying their best, but they're not doing it. The Jimtown Jimmies, they are the 12th ranked team in the class of 3A, and they should have no problem winning this ball game here. It looks like Glenn only scored 491 points this season and given up 221, so not a winning recipe, obviously reflecting the 1-7 record. So Jimtown will win and advance onto the sectional semis. Next game, we got Claremont New Tech. The Warriors are 5-4. The Mishawaka Marion Knights are 4-5. So Mishawaka Marion, they have been a powerhouse in 3A. Not powerhouse, I can't say. They've kind of been losing in, I guess, the regionals, but they've been normally have really good regular seasons, and that is not the case this year. They're ranked 20th in class of 3A, and the Warriors are also ranked 53rd. So, given this, it looks like Mishawaka's defense a little more stout. They've only given up 190, as Claremont did 293 for them on the defensive side. So I'm going to go offense is going to win the game. Marion Knights will roll into week 2. All right, next game here. Knox is going to River Forest. Now the Knox Redskins are 6-3, and they're going to go play. It looks like not too bad of a ball club, sitting at 5-4. River Forest looks like they have a lot better defense than Knox does. But Knox's offense is hard to stop, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. They got probably one of the better players in the class of 3A in the state of Indiana. They're ranked 16th in the state and 85th in the, or 16th in the class of 3A and 85th in the state. So I don't see them having any issue against the 46th team in the class 3A. winning this game. So Knox Redskins will move on. A game I don't know much about these teams here. Hammond Bishop Knoll, the Warriors are 3-6. Griffith Panthers are 8-1. So here we go. Right, a good squad. It looks like 33rd in the Class 3A. Defense is outstanding. 382 points for and only giving up 86 points this year. I'm curious to kind of how their schedule looked all year long. Kind of see who they played, and they might be a force to be reckoned with right there in good old Griffith, Indiana. But they're going to roll. They're going to take care of this game. No problem, it sounds like, if their defense can continue to play like they have played all year. It looks like on stats. So let's recap here. Sectional 25 in Class 3A. Jimtown's going to beat Glenn. Mishawaka Marion's going to beat Claremont North, or New Tech. So it'll be Mishawaka Jimtown. We're going to have Knox moving on up against Griffith. They're going to win that game against Knox to move on as well. I see them as a sectional champion in this sectional 25. So let's move along right over to the 4A sectional. Again, October 25th, kicking off this Friday. We'll start with the top sectional 17. Let's start right at the top here with a few teams in here. So the Hanover Central Wildcats are 7-2. They're going up against the East Chicago Central Cardinals. Man, they're 1-8. I don't think they've been too good the last few years. I remember when I played college ball, there's a couple guys that came from there, but that program didn't have much to say for themselves. It looks like Hanover's going to win. They're 21st in the class of 4A. The East Chicago Central, they're 62nd in the class of 4A. So 96 points for, and they've given up 355 points on defense. Hanover should have no issue taking care of the Cardinals this Friday night. Let's move over, or I guess down. The Highland Trojans, they're 1-8. They're going up against the Kankakee Valley Cougars. They're 4-5. This matchup's kind of the same as the last, right? So Highlands only scored 77 points this season, giving up 383. That's not a winning recipe for football, especially in the playoffs. So Kankakee Valley is gonna not roll, but they're gonna win this ball game. I don't foresee the Trojans taking care of any business there. All right, let's move on down here. Gary Westside Cougars are 5-4 to New Perry Cougars, so we got the Cougar on Cougar here. A little kitty cat war here, but it's New Perry Cougars are 6-3. The Gary Westside Cougars are 5-4. New Perry is one of those teams that been to state a few times, been taking care of business throughout the playoffs, and they normally do pretty well. As their defense has only given up 104 points, and their offense has scored 301. They play a pretty tough schedule with a lot of 5 and 6A teams within their divisions. They kind of play tough ball, and they have really good experience when it comes down late into the playoff run, and they're ranked 25th in the class of 4A. New Perry will get the win over Gary Westside. Okay, moving on down to Hobart versus Lowell. The Hobart Brickies. Brickies? Yeah, Brickies. I can't read, y'all. If you haven't realized this by now, you're in the wrong program. The Hobart is 5-4. The Lowell Red Devils are 4-5. Honestly, rock, paper, scissors for me on this one. I'm going to have to go Hobart on the road, taking care of Lowell. Just because everything's kind of almost cookie cutter, exactly the same. Looks like Hobart's offense is a little better than Lowell. So I have to go with Hobart. Okay, so that wraps up sectional 17 in class 4A. New Perry will move on. Hobart will move on. We got Kankakee Valley going to move on. And the Hanover Central. They're going to move on to week 2 in the sectional semis. Let's move on down to sectional 18 in class 4A. We have the Wawasee Warriors going up against the Plymouth Rockies / Pilgrims. They have a lot of mascots, it seems like. Wawasee, still struggling. They're 1-8. They're still struggling to kind of build this program. They are in the NLC conference. And so is the Rockies. So we've got they've seen each other before. They've played each other before. The Rockies are 5-4. And they kind of came on strong at the end of the year this year, the last 5 games, I would say, taking care of business and giving some teams a run for their money. The Plymouth Rockies are ranked 18th in the class of 4A, and they run that wing tee offense, triple option deal, and it's pretty tough to stop, especially in the playoffs. It takes a lot of clock up if they run it right, and teams like Wawasee only scoring 91 points, giving up 375. It's going to be tough to manage the clock and get on the board. So Plymouth will beat the Wawasee Warriors and move on in sectional 18. All right, let's move on down to Mishawaka versus Northridge. A pretty big heavyweight matchup here. The Northridge Raiders are not that good this season, but they're kind of gritty. They're kind of gritty, and when playoff time comes, I remember their run to the state championship. I think it was 3 years ago, possibly 3 years ago in Class 4A. They didn't have a great regular season, and then all of a sudden they blew up in the playoffs. So kind of one of them stories of the Indiana football playoffs, how you can kind of come from nothing and have a chance at a state title. Everyone has a chance at a week one. So the Mishawaka Cavemen are 7-2. The Northridge Raiders are 3-6. Mishawaka is 8th in the class of 4A and 37th in the state. Northridge is 23rd in the class and 90th in the state. They're pretty even, 178, 198 points for, points given up. Mishawaka, their defense is pretty stout, and they can score the football pretty quickly. Again, they run triple option, wing tee, manage the clock. They can have big playability. They're going to be too much for the Northridge Raiders. To handle. The Mishawaka Cavemen don't have to travel too far either, going to Mishawaka to Middlebury. So it should be a nice little jog over to Middlebury and taking care of business. The Mishawaka Cavemen will roll on. Other matchups here in the sectional 18. We got South Bend schools. So South Bend St. Joseph Huskies going up against the South Bend Riley Wildcats. Two teams. Looks like South Bend St. Joe. They had to change their name. They were the Indians, I'm pretty sure. They had to change it to the Huskies. And ever since they've changed the name, I feel like they have not been playing quality ball. But given that, Riley just doesn't, I don't know, they have not had a good program in the last few years. I have maybe more than a few, handful of years. But the South Bend St. Joe is ranked 33rd in Class 4A, and they will beat Riley and move on in sectional 18. Okay, last but not least, over here in the 4A, well, not last, but the last sectional we'll kind of cover in the 4A will be the South Bend Washington Panthers. Are 0-9. The Northwood Panthers are 4-5. So another kitty cat here, Panther on Panther. The Northwood Panthers, they play a tough NLC schedule. They're a little down this year, but their kicker just set the state record for longest field goal. I think it was 62 yards. So good for him against the Concord Minutemen, which are number one team in 5A. So they played a tough schedule, like I said, and they're battle risen, and I think they're going to be just fine in the playoffs, and especially in the Class 4A. They're ranked 17th. And their offense is better than their defense, 225, and only given up 172. South Bend Washington has given up 387 points this season, so quite a bit of points. The reason, obviously, why they're 0-9. Northwood Panthers will roll on to sectional 18, round 2 on the semis. Okay, let's recap sectional 18 here. The Plymouth Rockies will move on to play Mishawaka in round 2 on November 1st. And we got the South Bend St. Joseph Huskies will beat South Bend Riley and play Northwood in round 2 in sectional 18. That was Class 4A. Now, moving right along, Speedy Gonzalez over here. We're going to move right along over to sectional 9 of 5A in the region. Let's see. We got the Hammond Morton Governors. They're 4-4. The Munster Mustangs are 2-7. So two teams that they're going to dog it out. I think this might be actually one of them sleeper games that you don't realize. But I'm going to go Munster at home, pulling it out against Hammond Morton. The Mustangs winning this ball game as they're ranked 30th in the class of 5A. Hammond Morton's ranked 24th in the class. We will see. But I believe in the Mustangs. And I think there's not a lot of mascots as the Mustangs here in Indiana, so I'm going to have to go with them. Literally the only reason why. It just sounds good to me. Next game, Hammond Central Wolves are 3-6. The Maryville Pirates are 8-1. Everyone knows about Maryville, right? They're always top 5 in class no matter what. I think they were up 6-8 last year, and then moved back down to 5A. They can move up and down quite a bit, but they're a damn good football team coached by a good program. They have a great program there. They produce a lot of college athletes, college program guys. So they're third in the class of 5A, 24th in the state of Indiana, and I have no doubts that they will take care of the Hammond Central Wolves here. So Maryville Pirates, you moving on to round 2. Or sectional championship, sorry. I forgot. 5A we're moving. So these games don't kick off until November 1st, which is next Friday, not this upcoming. All right, moving on. Michigan City. The Michigan City Wolves are 3-6. Chesterton Trojans are 4-4. Again, these two teams, they play a pretty tough schedule, and they're ranked almost identical in the class of 4A or class of 5A in state of Indiana. The Michigan City Wolves are 64th in the state, 14th in the class 5A, and Chesterton 68th and 15th in the class of 5A. So low scoring offenses, right? So points for from Michigan City is 140, points against is 129, and then you go over to Chesterton, it's 152 to 157. So really close notch here. I feel like they're a couple points away from being a lot better records than they have in the regular season. I don't pay attention too much to the region. But when it comes to playoff time, I know the Michigan City Wolves really find out how to win, and their defense plays pretty tough. So I'm going to pick them to go on the road into Chesterton and take on the Trojans and leave there with a victory to go into the sectional championship. Next game, we got LaPorte going up against Valparaiso. LaPorte Slicers are 0-9 this season. The Valpo Vikings are 6-3. They play a good schedule as well. 11th in the class of 5A. Sorry, LaPorte, there's not much talking points here, but looks like the Valparaiso Vikings will move on and take care of business against LaPorte in sectional 10. So let's recap section 9 and 10 in 5A. Munster's going to beat Hammond Morton. They're going to play Maryville in the sectional championship. Michigan City's going to go into Chesterton and beat Chesterton and go up against the Valparaiso Vikings in the sectional championship as well. So that is sectional 10, sectional 9 of class 5A. Let's scroll down here to class 5A, sectional 11. We got the Goshen Redhawks, 0-9, not doing great. And the Warsaw Tigers at 6-3. It's weird to see the Warsaw Tigers in the class 5A. They got moved down. So now they're down and out. They're a really good program. I don't think that discourages them. If they have a better chance in 5A than they will 6A. So I'll be interested to see what kind of run they can make in 5A. And going up against Goshen really kind of must boost their confidence and get them rolling. Warsaw's ranked 7th in the class of 5A and really has a stingy defense. And Bart Curtis and the boys down there, they coach them up pretty strong. The Warsaw Tigers are always pretty strong to play. So Goshen Redhawks, I'm sorry, sitting at 0-9. I really don't think you will pull off the victory up against the Warsaw Tigers. Let's move into sectional 11 as well. Concord Minutemen, number 1 team in 5A, 9-0, going to Fort Wayne Northside to play the 5-4 squad there. Real quick, before we get into any of this, obviously Fort Wayne Northside, if you heard, had a very tragic circumstance happen, and a death to a young man, a young athlete, young role model in the community. So just, quick silence for them and for him and his family and all of his teammates suffering over there in Fort Wayne Northside. Now let's get into football here. The Minutemen are 9-0 rolling into this game. Obviously, Fort Wayne Northside is going to be emotionally charged. So this could be an easy game to lose for the Minutemen if they don't come showing up to play. Obviously, I'm a little biased. I got the Minutemen helmet behind me, and that's my alma mater. So I'm a little biased here, but they're number 1 in Class 5A for a reason. They play really, really good football all year. 321 points for, only 153 points given up. And I just feel, I feel for Fort Wayne Northside, but I think there's so much emotion, so much other things going on that's bigger than football, that they won't be too focused on this game. And the Concord Minutemen will take on and over in Fort Wayne. They'll take the long trip into sectional in Fort Wayne and take care of business and move on. Let's talk about the sectional 12 right underneath that, Lafayette Jefferson. Here we go, right? They're 9-0, the Broncos. They're a really good ball club going up against the South Bend Adams Eagles that are 2-7. Lafayette Jeff is number 2 in 5A. And that's kind of all we need to know at this point. They're going to take on the Eagles, and they're going to handle them pretty well. It's probably going to be an ass whooping at that point, honestly. It's probably going to be pretty tough. So they roll on. Let's look at this. McCutcheon, the Mavericks are 4-5. Kokomo Wildcats are 4-4. Kokomo is always kind of one of them sneaky teams in 5A. And this matchup is just going to be awesome. Honestly, all eyes should be on this. 22 in the class for McCutcheon and 20th in the class for Kokomo. Just two good programs, right? They're always kind of in the middle of the road, but they always kind of seem to pop up in the playoffs and win a few unwilling matchups. So I want to go Kokomo at home, winning that game. So let's kind of recap. I know it kind of flew through to 5A here. We already talked about sectional 9 and 10. Let's talk about 11 and 12 here. Warsaw beats Goshen. Concord beats Northside. They roll on to sectional championship. Lafayette Jeff obviously handles South Bend Adams no problem, and the Kokomo Wildcats will move on to play with Lafayette Jefferson in the sectional championship. So that's 5A. Let's move over to 6A real fast here. Not too many teams in my area that is in 6A, but we're going to go over Portage Crown Point, sectional 1. The Portage Indians, are 4-5. The Crown Point Bulldogs are 9-0. Crown Point is always, they're always up there, guys. I mean, I'll have to tell you guys this. You guys all know. They're 6th in the class of 6A and 6th in the state. So right across the board, their defense is damn good. They're only giving up 83 points, and they don't play an easy schedule by any means. They take on a lot of good clubs in the 6A realm. So 6A, big ball, big Portage. I'm sorry, you guys won't have it. I don't think you guys have it to take down the Bulldogs at home. So the Crown Point Bulldogs will roll on. Let's move on over to the Lake Central Indians are 3-5, and the Penn Kingsmen are 7-2. New head coach this year for the Penn Kingsmen, and they're ranked 22nd in the class of 6A. Not having an overall great season. They failed at Elkhart, and I think they failed at Valpro in the beginning of the year. So really tough kind of games going on. Lake Central comes into Kingman. The Kingsmen's field there, Penn's going to take care of business. They're always pretty decent. They will take care of Lake Central. Let's go to sectional 2. Your defending 6A champion, the Fort Wayne Snyder Panthers, are 7-2, going up against Elkhart Lions 8-1. And the only team that Elkhart has lost to was Concord week 1. And the reason being is I think they would have won if they would have had a couple of guys. They had a couple of suspensions and things they had to deal with going into week 1. But Elkhart is now ranked 21st in class 5A. Fort Wayne is ranked 16th. So kind of an off year for Fort Wayne. But guys, listen to this stat. Elkhart, they scored 280 points and have only given up 69 on defense. So really dominating that side of the ball. If they could get those numbers up on offense, they would be super dominant. But it's good to see Elkhart kind of finally catching some wind and being good once they merge Memorial and Elkhart Central together. It's good to see they're finally kind of taking over some powerhouse. But they're going to have a hell of a matchup. Fort Wayne Snyder is not an easy team to win. They're great. They're amazingly coached. Obviously, is why they're normally, at Lucas Oil or one game outside of Lucas Oil. So Elkhart Lions will have their hands full, but I'm just going to root for them as a homer, being in Elkhart County. It's just nice to see Elkhart do that. So sectional 2, last game here, Carroll versus Fort Wayne Northwood. Carroll Chargers are 7-2 out of Fort Wayne, so this will be a battle of Fort Wayne here. The Bruins, I don't know if they're not going to have enough. Their defense gives us way too many points. Carroll's just a well-coached team as well. 15th in the class of 6A. The 7-2 Carroll Chargers will roll on. All right, quickly recap. Sectional 1, Crown Point and Penn move on. They win their games. They move on to the sectional championship. Reminder, these games will kick off November 1st. And then sectional 2, the Elkhart Lions will play Carroll in the sectional championship 6A. Sectional 1 and sectional 2, there you have it. boys and girls, thank you very much for listening in. This is high school football playoffs here in Indiana. If you guys like this kind of content, let me know, and I'll continue making them throughout the season. If you guys have not yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel at The Winning Edge, winning as in WYNNING. Check us out there on the YouTube side. We're looking for more subscribers and more people to jump on the bandwagon and watch our weekly episodes. So check out there, and if not, we'll see you guys. Be safe, be good, and take care.